to give a talk on behalf of my team. The title of the talk or paper is Job Satisfaction and Turnover Decision of Employees in the Internet Sector in the US. We are honored to publish in Enterprise Information Systems, which is ABDC A rank and ABS 2 and Q1 journal. And the content will be as follows. We'll firstly talk about the research objective, then we talk about the hypothesis and development, and followed by data and methodology, results, discussion, and then conclusions. First of all, research objective. Let's just talk about the introduction. The cost of spending on employee turnover is very high. And that reason varies, but it's always very costly, time-consuming, and it just brings interruption to the work. And that depends on the ranks, sectors, and working years. And also different observation in different industry have been noticed, because in some sectors it means that turnover rate are higher, in some sectors seems to be slightly lower. And the reason why we use US is because it's more open for data transparency and availability. So in this case, then we focus on the US internet industry just to study why people are leaving, and then we make a very comprehensive research and data analysis. The staff turnover represents a break of a reciprocal relationship, and it's always very useful to understand the reasons behind what makes people leaving the job. Is it because of job satisfaction? And if so, what are the reasons behind them? The study collected the data from a public level website, when respondents could answer anonymously, solving the problem of difficulty in collecting judgment from resigned employees, and also the tendency of the current employees to conceal some of their true evaluations when filling out those corporate questionnaires. Then we also met the ethical approval criteria, and it's always important that the data right there was available. We are going to just put the data sources you can find a later part of this talk, and we used the very advanced AI and machine learning techniques. We understand what the insights, then to show you what are the findings we have. So the research objective are having four folds. Firstly, we identify and evaluate the determinants of the employees' voluntary turnover, just to understand the main reasons and to evaluate them quantitatively. Secondly, we evaluate the mediating effect of job satisfaction on above predictive relationship. We understand what really makes those factors and their impacts on that. And then thirdly, we evaluate the moderating effect on macroeconomic factors. So macroeconomic factors such as the GDP of country, unemployment rate, and so on. And lastly, we predict the turnover risk based on the data mining technologies, just to see how our techniques work with the analysis and how far is it going to get the accuracy and so on. And hypothesis development. We will always ask you to look, check, and read our paper, because all the information are there. There are differences between giving a talk and reading a paper. So giving a talk, we would like you to understand it much better in a short period of time. So we have the hypothesis. It's very important that we always set the right hypothesis. So what makes people happy about the job? Based on the literature and based on finding, we then can generalize this hypotheses such as work-life balance, culture fitness, career opportunities, compensation and benefit, management style fitness. So that means that you are happy with all these factors, then you will make you feel great about your job, and they usually have a positive relationship. Similarly, what makes people leaving the job? What makes you not happy about the job? Because work-life balance is not good enough. Culture fitness is not for you. Career opportunities doesn't seem to be promising. Compensation and benefit are not even greater than other sectors or other competitors. Management style fitness, maybe certain management style or certain supervisors are having certain difficulties with your way to evaluate about the work and life. Therefore, that makes people living, and they have usually a negative relationship with, which means that when you feel down about this, and then that makes you to leave. So there are two mediating effects. One's on GDP, because of course we don't want to get into another debate, but usually to check how good a country is developing, there are quite a few key factors. So one of them is usually GDP of the country, and also the unemployment rate is always a very good indicator to show how the economy is actually doing as a whole. So those macro economic factors are also important, just to see whether people would like to stay on the job. Sometimes they may not like the job, but because it's hard to find jobs outside, so they stay, and vice versa. So this is just give you a nutshell, and please read our paper. I hope that's a very easy for you to understand about the different relationship and impact. So data analysis and methodology, this is a part that we want to spend a little bit of time. So again, if you can go to those data sources just to find out more. Of course, the newer the data, the better it is. And our data is based on 2008 and 2018. And if you wish, you can also ask those data provider whether they can provide you the data, or you can also ask any additional criteria will be available to you, because you have to realize that it is not always true that the data can always be available. And this is a link. If you can, then you just go there before they may close the website or so. So we have those big companies such as Amazon, or in UK we pronounce Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and Netflix. And then we have those factors as mentioned, and we have those macro variables and the number of employees here and years between 2008 and 2018, and the data volume 17,000 plus after data cleaning. And this is a framework. Framework will be extremely useful for everybody if you want to do a research. So we then have the correlation analysis followed by logistic regression analysis, and then we further validate whether it's good or not. We have used different types of techniques, but then we find that random forest is one of the best techniques. That has been explained in other part of my talk. If you wish, I can also provide a link down below, or you can check my Google channel just to see their different algorithms and their performance. And then we have the evaluation using different techniques and methods. So then we ensure that the results are always accurate, up to date, consistent, and transparent. So correlation analysis is usually conducted to identify the relevance between job satisfaction and work-life balance, culture fitness, career opportunity, compensation and benefits, and management style fitness in this case. So to identify whether you are related, and if so, what type of extent. So in order to understand the factors that former or current employees are most concerned about, the model based on correlation analysis is extended into three forms as follows. So first one is on the formal model with only former employee as the observation. And the second model is on the current model with only the current employee as the observation. The third model is the full model with all employees as observation. So usually in human resources, they study also why people leave. So one group is for the former employee, and then the other one is for the current employee. Sometimes they also have the questionnaire to ask the current employee about how happy and how satisfied about the job and what sort of improvement should be required. And then the third model will be just mixing everything without classifying them as former or current employees. So this would then mean that information about why individuals choose to leave and what factors attract existing employee to stay are always the very good reasons that we need to understand, and every year is always different, and sometimes even every semester or every quarter is always different. So the model to test the mediating effect of job satisfaction, as you can see, this is giving you the diagram, and in the model we mix with the continuous and categorical variable, and then we use the logistic regression and to use it. So logistic regression, based on our past experience, we try a few methods, and we realize the logistic regression is more reliable in our analysis. So then we have a collection of determinant with the X for the representation to represent those 5 factors we look at. And all the effects among the 5 factors, job satisfaction and turnover, are measured separately to investigate their relationship clearly. So we not only study those 5 factors or elements, but then we make job satisfaction and turnover just to understand their direct relationship or so. And then in this case, the overall satisfaction can be achieved, whether you are formal or current, and then with this one, so that you can then formulate, into formulas. But there are also other quantitative ways to study the same research. So in this case, we just want to focus on this 5, and then to make our model very specifically only for those 5. Then models to test the moderating effect of macro factors. So in macro factors, we then focus on big things such as the GDP and unemployment rate. Again, we use the logistic regression to analyze and also to test the moderating effects of the GDP and unemployment rates on the relationship between job satisfaction and turnover decision. So the turnover risk prediction model, we then use random forest. So random forest, what does it mean? It is, in fact, a decision tree, but the difference is that within each cluster of trees, it goes for majority. So if this is example, they are 5 for blue, 3 for green. So in this cluster, blue wins. So then we vote for that. So similarly, we then do the same. So you may notice that US election, especially when a presidential candidate, is a random forest algorithm. So each state has their own decision, and the majority will win all the votes. So similarly, random forest is the same algorithm being applied for that. So random forest, of course, we use a lot of different methods, and then based on our previous experience, then we identify random forest is the one that give the best accuracy in our case. So we use random forest with the importance of each feature satisfaction, work-life balance, culture fitness, career opportunity management fitness, and compensation could be measured after the model is trained. So this helps to identify the predictors that affect the employment departure. So the results are as follows. So we then follow with the descriptive analysis. So you can see that there is a volume 17,000 plus, at least that all of them should be having 1 or sometimes 0, maximum value 5. So 1 is the lowest, 5 is the highest. But so for some reason, some people probably dislike the management very much, or even put 0. So the mean values, as you can see, the mean values for work-life balance is below 3. 3 is not the average, but at least that should be the mean value. But if you are slightly above 3, means it's better. So you can notice that why people they don't stay much, it might be because of the work-life balance and the management style fitness. But again, the talents in the American internet sector are most satisfied with compensation benefits and culture fitness. So this makes them happy to stay on the job, but because that they think there are some other ways, especially these compensation benefits, as you can see, especially those big companies like Google, Facebook, Apple, they have a high compensation. You can buy their stocks, and sometimes you earn millions very easily. There is one reason, by variation of cultural fitness is the highest among the 5 factors rating, because cultural fitness may mean because of COVID, the way they do things have been different. Sometimes people cannot just spend all the time working at home, or perhaps the deadlines cannot be extended while you are in a very special isolation just because of COVID or other type of diseases. So it means that there's a certain level of gap in corporate culture fitness. And also some companies are trying to explore different business models and different ways to create values and profits. So some employees cannot match with the corporate demands, and some others could adapt it well. So because of the digital transformation and because of the culture and management change, And it's very important that we also have to change. If you don't, or you don't adapt well, and that will mean that you are getting less happy. And as the compensation, employees are generally satisfied with a high mean value and low variance. And that means it's a good sign, because if you varies a lot, it doesn't mean well. So descriptive analysis, as we can see that the table shows the detail of the rating for each company, and based on this, as we can see, the Amazon, the work-life balance is the lowest because you work too much on that, and in some of the work scenes is very stressful because it's 100% data-driven. Your performance is reflected through analytics. And sometimes it creates a lot of stress for people. They have to overwork. And in terms of other factors, the other one is also management stuffiness, because in a highly stressed environment, usually bosses may not be having a lot of nice words. They were actually very deadline driven. At the same time, Facebook and Google are rated above the industry average and ahead of all the competitors, as you can see. Although in some sectors, especially with the compensation and benefit that makes people to stay, and Facebook and Google, they are extremely high. Very well, if you go to Google, you can have meals for free. You can even bring your friends and family there. And there are a lot of additional benefits. So correlation analysis, as we can see, turnover, satisfaction, and antecedent. So the three tables, there will be one next. It will show and also represent the results of the subsample of the former employee, the subsample of the current employee, and the whole observation respectively. So if you have the opportunity to look at everything, so you can see that they all have the different values. The higher the value means that they are more towards that particular factor. So if you get 0.72 in this case, the culture fitness and also job satisfaction is dependent on management style fitness for the former employee. And similarly, this is the current employee. If you want to get a very quick answer, then you then check, culture fitness, because people like the culture, and also, the management style fitness also make them to stay. But there are also other reasons in regard to other factors. So the correlation analysis provides a positive relationship between all the antecedents and job satisfaction in three models. They're all giving all of the positive results. And the correlation coefficient of culture fitness range from 0.77 to 0.8 with another p-test less than 0.01 is the highest of all the three models. So when we do all the three models, we notice that the culture fitness is the reason that people like and also people don't like. And also the management style is the second. So the way that the management leads and also the way that your supervisor interact with you and they foresee are also the main reason people like and don't like. As you can see, you have the very similar result for the full compared to the other. So however, the correlation coefficient of the culture fitness is smaller than 0.8 and reaches 0.8 in the other two models for the former employee. It's only for the former employee they're slightly higher. And job satisfaction matters because these are the 5 factors we can have noticed and generalize, but then it's always very important for whatever job you have chosen, feeling the happiness in yourself and in your health and your family are always crucial. So mediating effect of the job satisfaction, as we can see, they have negative values and also positive values. So mediating effects, when we are looking at the coefficient, if we get the positive value, in this case, the model tool means that they have a direct impact on that. And negative value means that if you you don't have a work-life balance, it makes you leaving a job. And in all the cases, for model A, it should be negative because it's turnover. And for model B, it have to be positive because what makes you happy to stay. And these are the 5 reasons. So coefficients in model A and B are significant. So all the 5 factors are the determinants for the satisfaction and the turnover. So these 5 factors determine most of the people why they stay and why they leave. And then coefficient models, again, we can then use them for more analysis for mediating effects of job satisfaction. So when you're doing this, we have to have more result to look at. So those negative values will mean that, again, if you don't like the place you are living and there is a negative correlation, and therefore the result should be negative. And then with the negative results, it also show that when we're doing different tests, you always give the negative results with a different extent. So sometimes people are leaving, and this is the overall result. And sometimes there are some particular cases, some people are very stressed, so that because work-life balance might be the main reason for some of the people. But generally speaking, then it is not having the impact. Generally speaking, it then goes into the culture fitness. Again, the career opportunity satisfaction is also the issue, because some people don't feel they are having the promising future, or maybe they don't get promoted very quickly, and also management style is the reason. And then we can see that the moderating effect of the macro factors on GDPs and unemployment rate, just to see whether if the economic situation is not so good, how does it impact to the people with a job? Do they stay? And so the coefficient of job satisfaction and product between satisfaction and each macro factor should be significant when the moderating effect hypothesis is true. So the result revealed that the moderator effect of the employment rate is true. So you notice that it's true because you have the negative value. So it means that when you are having, although you may not, some people may not like the job, but because the economic situation is not so good, they will still stay on, and vice versa. If they think the economic situation are very good, there are a lot of job offers, they are more likely to move on to another job. So the interaction between the unemployment rate and job satisfaction has a negative effect on turnover. However, it's not as significant that, but perhaps in some sectors there will be more. And in the US internet sector is having the expected effects, but not as high as some of the people may thought. So the moderating effect of macro factors. So then we have another two-way interaction effect on job satisfaction and unemployment rate on the turnover decisions, just to investigate why people are leaving. Is it because of the unemployment rate? So the figure shows the negative relationship between the job satisfaction and turnover decision that changed slightly when unemployment increased from low to high. So you can then see you have this slope for the high moderator, and this is a low moderator. Low moderator means that the impact is not so high, and vice versa. So there's a slope of change. There's a slight change from low moderator to high moderator under either low job satisfaction or high level of satisfaction. So it means that when employment situation are not so good, and people may still stay on for a little bit of while, but then again, like what I've said earlier, if they see that there are a little better opportunity, they would like to move on. And of course, more recent data will be always very useful. But in our case, this is our finding. And the turnover risk prediction model. So it's always important. We need to predict the likely outcomes, and then to compare. So in our research, we used random forest, as we have mentioned, and we used in this case confusion matrix. We then use the record value for the negative class, defined as the number of true negative observation divided by true negative and false positive observation. This helps to identify the current employee with high turnover risk. So we then focus on people who are likely to leave, because for some organizations, if they can see the signs that the employees are not happy and the situation has not been changed, and then it will be very worthy for them to understand whether improvement can be made and make them feeling better. So then we use the confusion matrix. As you can see, there are more result here, 2016 and 15, and then with the second highest with 2022. So based on the number in this table, the value is equal to 0.85, which means that 85% of the current employees could be identified correctly in the random forest model. It means that our accuracy and also our prediction is about 85%. And although it is very hard to achieve a high value, but at least our methods can predict to a certain extent. And it's always good for any HR planning and also organizations. They want to attract the talents because it's so crucial now. If you can attract the talents, you will make your organization almost having a better chance of success to achieve your goals. And then the turnover with prediction model. As we can see, more data analysis, the feature importance is just to highlight what the important things. As you can see, the highest value is 0.51 score. So it means that this is the most important predictor for us. Then the three lowest, then the compensation, culture fitness, work-life balance. The higher the score, the more important they are. So the G9 importance was employed in our paper to rank the importance of each feature, and the G9 represent the impurity of each feature. So as you can see, job satisfaction, of course, that's the main factor that people stay. And then there are also other factors that affect job satisfaction, career opportunity. Yes, if people see that they can have a better chance for promotion, they will stay. And also they like the management and the bosses, and if they feel the compensation will be good. But the other three are lower in this case. And the discussion is that in terms of antecedents influencing employees' turnover decision, all of them positively affect job satisfaction and have a negative impact on turnover. So for whatever reason you feel happy, you are likely to stay, and vice versa. So among all the features, job satisfaction, management style fitness, and career opportunity are the three most significant variables to predict turnover risk, which validate the result of our regression analysis, because we also use regression analysis to double check. And then we realize that what makes people leaving are the job satisfaction, management style fitness, and career opportunity. For all the antecedents, this paper investigates the job satisfaction mediates the relation between them and also turnover decision, and the unemployment rate more correlated with the employment environment than GDP is verified as the moderator between the job satisfaction and turnover, but GDP is not. So in this case, how well a country performs doesn't really affect internet sector in USA a lot. However, for some country or some sector, there can be a different case. And I will encourage you to find out more if that relates to your discipline or interest. The minor changes found that under the low level of job satisfaction, the how stable you are in terms of the turnover rate can result from high employment rate. And also that is very relatively more significant than under the high level of satisfaction. And of course, what makes people to stay on job satisfaction is the key. But however, there are also other external factors such as high employment rate. Then people are less likely to move. But then when economic situation are better, then they are likely. However, that also depends on which country or which sector that you are working, and then and it also depends on which year you're talking about. Mostly before COVID, and after COVID, there will be some differences. So the conclusion, based on the development of social exchange theory, this paper proposed a high value of work-life balance, compensation, career opportunity, and fitness of the culture, and also when the management style will improve the sense of job satisfaction to make people to stay with happiness. So these are the factors. Furthermore, the mediating effect of satisfaction of the relationship between the antecedent and turnover, and the moderating effect of the unemployment rate on relation between job satisfaction and turnover are hypothesized further. So in this case, we make the emphasis to understand. If you can check the diagram early on to understand how they're related, whether they are positively or negatively correlated, and what are the mediating impacts on them. So our sample 17,000 plus online reviews of employees from Glassdoor, the positive effects of the antecedents, the job satisfaction variable as a mediator, and the unemployment rate variable as a mediator is verified. Finally, the job satisfaction is identified as the most important feature for predicting turnover based on the random forest algorithm. So we want to predict the likelihood people may be leaving. So job satisfaction is the key factor, and it needs more quantitative ways to formulate better and more accurate analysis. And of course, every year, the main reason can be different. And it might be because sometimes people move to another country just because of the currency situations, or maybe there are better opportunities in another place of the country, or it might be because the other employer offers more. However, in our case, we have presented our work. So why should you sign a paper? So firstly, the paper split the turnover process into multiple steps and compare the effects of each factor respectively. We then identify those 5 factors. We give very comprehensive analysis. Secondly, the different data analysis methods are used in real data set on factors of employee satisfaction and turnover decision. And the results of data analysis can contribute to both theory and practice, because our work is very highly relevant to any sectors, because in every job you have, this is the problem happen every day. And of course, we should actually study why people come and why people leave. And there is a growing problem that we provide our analysis, insight, and recommendation. We can then help anybody to resolve this problem, especially with those funded partners or those councils or any agency that offer funding. And our work contribute to part of the real-world solution. We always provide a real-world solution for our research. And the research shows that human resource managers can use a more straightforward machine learning methods to more effectively, efficiently, and accurately predict turnover and identify the most important factor affecting it. So of course, there are some other tools that can actually help the HR professionals to actually make a better prediction, like just to understand why people leaving and when the kind of ways. And sometimes there are also peak seasons and off-peak seasons. And so in this way, companies can then take timely action to retain employees or reduce losses, because you don't want your company or your organization in a state that there are always people leave, any month. So you need to find a reason to consolidate yourself. Therefore, our paper actually give you a very valuable insight to help you. So if you can, please cite or consider signing our paper. If you find relevant, helpful, and inspiring, our paper is free forever. Yes, free forever for you. Please read the paper and cite it if that's possible. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And we're going to meet again in another context. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you.